Hello and welcome to Insurance Agents Talk Shop. I'm your host, Doug Coombs, Chief Marketing Officer at SIAA. Today's episode is Integrating Technology into Agency Operations. I'd like to introduce my guest, Michael Streit, General Manager of EZLynx, which most of you probably realize is an applied systems company. Michael, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
It's great to have you here. So I'm going to set the stage for our discussion today, and I believe that it's impossible to talk about insurance agency operations without discussing technology. And so let's face it, those who aren't integrating systems such as agency management systems or customer relationship management or CRM systems, or other components of a comprehensive tech stack are missing out on efficiencies and likely missing out on revenue-generating opportunities. So that being said, there's a lot to consider when it comes to tech stacks, or put another way, the choice of a combination of software, frameworks, and tools to enhance agency operations. I think this is especially true and can get especially confusing when you're not an IT specialist. Therefore, on this episode of Insurance Agents Talk Shop, we're going to ask our guest, Michael Streit, to help us sort through some of it. Michael, before we get into some of the specific components of today's subject, will you take a moment to help people understand your background and experience as it relates to the use of technology in the insurance industry?
Absolutely. So I started my career as a management consultant, and I pretty quickly decided I didn't want to do that for my career. It was a great way to learn about a lot of different business models, but I didn't love being in the business of selling advice. I wanted to be more kind of in the action, so to speak. So I left consulting and I spent a decade working in private equity. We would basically buy companies and hope to make them better and then sell them. And my job was to drop into the companies that we had bought and partner with management to make that happen. I saw a lot of great CEOs, worked with a lot of different business models. Most of them were technology. And because we owned the companies, it was more in the action, to my earlier comment. And then last fall, the CFO of Applied, who I had worked with many years ago, reached out to me and told me about EZLynx and the opportunity to come be the general manager. I was really excited for a lot of reasons. Obviously, it was a chance to actually run a business. So now I would be totally in the action, and a chance to work with a mentor of mine. But EZLynx is really unique in a couple really special ways. One, it's just a great product. I know there's a lot of SIAA members who are our customers. Our customer satisfaction scores are incredible. Customers stick with us for many, many years. Our rate of growth is incredible and demonstrates that we're very competitive. Second, look, I've seen a lot of different acquisitions in my decade in private equity, and I felt like this one was really special. I think EZLynx and Applied fit very well together. Obviously, Epic and EZLynx serve very different customer sets, but they're complementary and they have some shared problems. And so the acquisition gives EZLynx a chance to benefit from some of the applied technology, some of the applied investment, while serving a complementary customer. And then third, you asked, how do I know insurance? I actually didn't before I joined EZLynx in January of 2023. But I do know small business owners. My dad owned a small business for my whole life, and I come from a line of entrepreneurs. And I just have so much respect for entrepreneurs and small business owners. And the opportunity to serve those customers every day was really exciting when I was deciding to come work here. And it's been my favorite part of the job, talking to insurance agents and talking to entrepreneurs.
Excellent. So that I think that's spot on when you talk about the small business owners and entrepreneurs who are looking to succeed in their realm of the world, if you will, and that does in fact tie, I think, very nicely into most independent and generally insurance agents and speaking in general. I will confirm, you brought it up. I was actually going to do a little disclosure to folks that although obviously this podcast is available to all in the insurance industry, we will acknowledge that there are a high number of SIAA member agencies who utilize EZLynx, which is kind of a nice tie because I think it does show that EZLynx and therefore you, Michael, have some insights relative to the adoption of technology by insurance agents. So on that note, I just wanted to say that I realize you've been leading EZLynx, as you said, since last January. So you're coming up on a year, and it's not a lot of time, but to your point, it's probably enough time to give you a sense for some of the challenges facing insurance agents and the roadblocks to executing a comprehensive technology plan as it relates to agency operations. Have you identified to this point some general trends or common issues among those agencies that have not moved forward with executing on a comprehensive tech stack?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is just the proliferation of options. There's so many different point solutions, rating tools, management systems, other tools that you can plug in. You mentioned CRM, marketing automation tools, analytics tools. It's a lot to think through, and agents are often trying to make those decisions while they're trying to get their business off the ground. So, maybe they're working on getting carrier appointments, building their book of business, meeting with customers. It's just a lot to think through all at once. Now, obviously, it's our job to make that decision easy, and also not only to make the decision easy, but to make the implementation and adoption really easy.
That's I think you're spot on with that comment as well. Meaning there's just trying to actually do business as well as set up your business for operations. That's a lot on an individual's plate. So that being said, what would you say are some of the more obvious effects of not moving forward with at least some components of an overall technology implementation plan? And I just wanted to say that I use the term components because I'm not sure the average agency owner has the capital or the time, to your point, to execute on a complete overhaul of their systems. But I'm thinking that most could at least begin the process.
I totally agree with that. And look, strong technology solutions can help agents address every part of their business. So let's start with revenue. Good CRM solution and good marketing solutions help you generate leads, follow through on those leads, keep track of your customers. You can also automate some of the outreach so that you can touch your customers without necessarily picking up the phone and calling all of them, or you can have regular communication with them and then spend your time, instead of drafting emails, actually speaking to the customer and explaining things. The other way it helps drive revenue, especially in insurtech, is making sure your customers are presented with the right policy for their needs. So a rating tool that quickly returns accurate quotes from carriers helps the agent position the best one for the customer. That helps an agent win more business. It helps them satisfy their customers. Just a very virtuous cycle. So that's revenue, and there's a million other ways it can drive revenue. But it also helps save cost. If you have a good system, you can automate things, which can help you reduce your overall cost. Or, like I said, you can spend your time on things that are more revenue generating or more fun. And then lastly, good technology can help with your reporting. I think a lot of agents could use a better visibility into what's going on with their agency and with their business, and technology can absolutely help them do that.
That's a valid point, and I just want to tie it back to the old adage, right? You manage what you measure, and to have that technology in place to help you get or receive or view those analytics, that data in terms of an analysis, I think goes further than most people give it credit for. Okay, so could you share from your perspective what might be some of the less obvious effects of not moving forward with a plan?
Yeah, I think maybe two of them. One is, if you don't have a good technology solution, you're actually leaving yourself open to mistakes, potentially to fraud. And so having a good technology, solution that can ingest the data and download the policies and keep that record, that's super important for you. It's probably hard to quantify a hard impact of that until it's potentially too late. So that's one other thing we didn't mention. And then the other thing I think is less obvious, you talked about some of the sequencing of this. I think it can be really tempting to delay picking a technology solution. And to your point, you don't need to come out with, your entire technology solution on day one. But the longer you wait to implement technology, the longer you're waiting to establish the workflows and processes that are ultimately going to help your business scale, and creates more rework later. And so one, I think less obvious component of this decision is the sooner you start building your business on the back of a strong piece of technology, the better position that business is going to be to grow and scale over time, and probably help you grow faster on your way there.
Got it. So let's dig a little deeper into that. Could you shed some light on those areas you believe where an agent should start relative to their technology solution?
Yeah, I think traditionally folks would say, hey, start with a rater to start quoting business. Pair that with a policy management system in a website, and then over time work with some extended solutions. And I certainly think that that's foundational, and we have a standard package that provides all that, as do many others. Um, but I also think there's a lot to be said for starting with a CRM, starting with a retention tool, even though you may not have new customers coming up for renewal right away. Building in the processes early on while you've got them entered as customers can be really valuable. And then maybe a customer portal, something where insureds can engage with you, directly via your website. Um, those are all things that I think an agency should be considering when they're evaluating their tech stack. And look, this is something where your solution provider, in this case EZLynx or Applied, can be your, we call it, indispensable growth partner. It's part of our job to make sure that you as the customer understand what the options you have are, align those with your goals, and then help you weigh those as you're making trade-offs to grow your business.
Got it. And so as I think about that and the fact that you've kind of outlined a potential progression, if you will, in terms of starting and then moving forward with a tech stack or a technology solution, are there short and long term goals of the agency that impact that progression?
It's a really good question. I'm tempted to say yes, of course. If you're trying to get your business off the ground quickly, then you should be focusing on a more bare bones version of this. But I really believe that regardless of what you're trying to do, you're trying to drive revenue, you're trying to automate as many processes as are reasonable, and you're trying to keep your costs down. And so, I think in general, in broad strokes, kind of regardless of short versus long term thinking with making this decision with a few years of foresight is really valuable. But I'll also go back to the point I made. Look, it's part of our job as your partners to help you understand what solutions we have and how they map to the goals that you have. And we have people who are more than willing to spend time with agents helping think through that.
Got it. And I think that's important for any good technology partner, for the small business owner who I don't believe we should expect to be IT experts. That the IT partner, vendor, whatever, however you want to reference them, that they bring that kind of guidance to the relationship. And it sounds like that's something that you think is really on EZLynx or any other technology solution provider as well.
That is so true, so true. And I think just learning how to use the software too. It's our job to make sure that that's straightforward, that you have resources to figure out what you're trying to accomplish and how to do that. I like to say our system is, it's very easy to use. It's right there in the name, but it's also an ambitious tool. We try to do a lot of things inside of EZLynx, and so helping agents figure out how to accomplish their goals inside the system, that's certainly on us.
And Michael, to that point, I think about some of the technology tools that have been introduced over time and continue to be out there, but the fact that the cycle of enhancements seems to get more and more rapid over time. Is there a commitment by EZLynx to continue with that training on an ongoing basis?
Yes, absolutely. So first, you talking about the cycle. The first thing is we're committed to accelerating the rate of improvements to the system. One of the benefits of being in the Applied family is there's more capital, honestly, available to put behind the product. We're going to grow our product and engineering team by 20% to build great solutions for our customers. So that's one thing. The other thing is everything that we build with an eye to, is this going to make the software not only more effective, but also more delightful to use? and more straightforward to figure out and all that. So that's the other thing. And then the third thing is, yes, to answer your question directly, absolutely, we are committed to continuing to train agents. There's a variety of ways that agents can learn how to use our software. We have self-led tutorials in EZU, which is right in the product. We have a great YouTube channel that not only explains how to do some of the more common workflows, but also highlights new releases every time it comes up. And then, specific to SIAA, we are working with the masters, with the growth coaches, um, to build more, I'll call it formal training programs for AA members on our solutions.
Good. So I'm going to remember that phrase, delightful to use. And because I do think that that's how should I put it? That's not ambitious, but a appreciated end goal for any system, just to make it a delightful to use. So kudos to you on that one. I do want to ask you, you talked about some of the training components. I'm wondering, what are some of the components of a tech stack itself that EZLynx offers to insurance agents?
Yeah, so first of all, our goal is to be a single platform solution for most agents. So you mentioned the proliferation of technology and all the various options out there. It's our goal to be as many possible things out of the box as we can be to let an agency run their business through our system. So that includes, and it starts with rating. That's the legacy of the company. We started doing rating 20 years ago, and it's still a major focus of all of our product development work, making sure that works very, very well for agents. Then we have a policy management module, downloads policies, puts them into the system. We also have a CRM that has some marketing automation capabilities as well. I'm really excited to release a little bit of an overhaul to the user experience to our CRM in the coming weeks. That to your point around delightful to use, I think agents are going to really love to work with our new CRM, which is also obviously fully integrated with the rest of EZLynx. So we're really excited about that. We also have a product called Retention Center, which you can kind of think of as a CRM for renewals. It flags at-risk renewals. This has been a major focus for many of our customers as we've entered into this hard market where retentions aren't as automatic as they used to be. Excuse me, renewals aren't as automatic as they used to be. And Retention Center helps agents manage that. And then in addition, we have reporting and analytics tools, accounting tools, an automation capability that runs kind of throughout the product to help you automate various workflows. And then there's some great commercial lines functionality as well. We have a tool we call Submission Center that helps manage submissions for commercial workflows. And we also integrate with Tarmica, which is another applied solution, a commercial rater, to help solve agents' commercial needs.
Very good, and yes, I think a number of folks around the alliance here, SIAA, are familiar with Tarmica and some of the capabilities they've brought to market now that they're part of the applied systems team. So the systems you were just mentioning, it sounds like they are essentially native solutions, or shall I say, solutions that have been designed, coded, et cetera, by EZLynx, as opposed to what I would consider more of a hybrid system. And by hybrid, I mean, somebody else's proprietary system or your proprietary system that are exchanging information and working together via APIs. Is that an accurate statement, that most of what EZLynx provides is your own programs, as opposed to something that you're working with a third party or connecting with another system through an API?
So the way I'd answer that is we are an open system. We do connect with other systems via APIs. We've invested quite a bit of time and effort into making sure our APIs are state of the art. So that is certainly an option. And for some agencies, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe you've got some particular tools that you want to plug in, or you've got some workflow that requires the use of a separate piece of technology that we will make work via our API. So that's absolutely an option. And like I said, we are an open system. But look, APIs, no matter whose APIs they are, take some work. You've got to connect the integrations. You got to make sure the data is flowing properly. And like you alluded, we think most of our customers don't want to spend their time doing that. They'd rather be spending their time running an insurance agency. And so a major foundational principle of how we design and build our product is you should be able to do most of what you need to do inside of our system. It should be available out of the box. And like I said, we'll connect if that's important to you, and that's something that you want to do and you want to spend your time doing it. But we feel like, number one, most of our agencies actually don't want to spend their time hooking up APIs. Um, and number two, no matter how good an API is, it works better when it's fully integrated. And so to, for instance, have a CRM tool that's native in the system that seamlessly connects with the rater, the policy management, the retention center, the reporting, there's a lot of benefit to that. And that's how we've approached building our product.
So that being said, and I'm sorry, I should mention to everyone, to our listeners, that API actually stands for Application Programming Interface. And I think you've actually answered my next question, Michael. And the thing is that I was going to talk a little bit, or ask you to talk a little bit about the prevalence of these APIs and why they've become so prevalent. But in your response just now, you were talking about how essentially these APIs are allowing one program to talk to another. And is that not essentially what an API is?
Yeah, I think of it kind of like a toolkit for making applications. It lets various pieces of software talk to each other, work together, data to flow in and out. And ultimately, it's I think they're prevalent because they provide a lot of flexibility. You can choose your own tech stack. You can build it, build it how you like. The trade-off is obviously then you got to build it, and that's kind of how we thought about it.
Very good. So my next question, we've addressed in I guess earlier, but I want to follow up on it because I think if there's one clear takeaway for our listeners, it's about if you're going to engage in the process of building out your technology solution, and again, it's about beginning the process for most. For some, it's about continuing, and for others, it's about just moving up probably in terms of from a base starter or a starting point to something a little more complex and advanced. And I think that most of our listeners are probably earlier on in the process. So thinking about that and trying to take it from the agency perspective rather than an EZLynx viewpoint, if I were a startup agency owner or an existing agency owner who's not taken that step yet in terms of investing in technology, where do I start? How do I build it out? How do I build out that technology stack or that technology solution over time? And you were mentioning these earlier that, it's about the rater, it's about document management. And I've even been thinking electronic signatures and CRM. You mentioned CRM earlier, but if it were you're starting your own agency, you're focused on getting some carriers, you've got to create a plan. Could you just, from one more time, kind of walk us through what is that progression as somebody who's either an early, a new adopter of that technology or a startup agency?
Well, I'm obviously biased to the technology that I think new agents should choose. But if I take a step back and generalize a little bit, I think somewhat non-negotiable is you should start with a rater and you should start with a policy management tool. I just think that the efficiency gained by rating, not only the ability to return multiple quotes at one time and just save yourself a tremendous amount of effort. For 20 years, we've been seeing customers get a lot of value out of that. And then the policy management, just to keep things organized and protect yourself, and to make sure that all your data is usable and accessible in one place. I think that's a standard foundational piece of the tech stack. But if I was running an agency, I would very quickly think about what are some of the kind of turbocharging pieces of technology that I can lay on top of that. And in my mind, it starts with a great CRM solution. The beauty of the insurance brokerage business is when you get a great book of business, that's, creating revenue into perpetuity. The challenge is you got to build that book of business. And I think a good CRM can help you do that efficiently and effectively and make sure you're capitalizing on every opportunity that you can. So that would be the next thing I would look towards. And then I do think, especially in this market, a piece of technology that can help you manage your retention is potentially differentiating for you as an agent, to be able to identify those that are at risk and make sure that you keep those in the boat. And maybe tempting if you're a startup agency to worry about the retention when the renewal comes up. But we've seen a lot of agents be very grateful that they invested the time up front in making sure those processes were established. So that's kind of how I'd think about it. And I'd probably want a strong reporting tool as well. And yeah, that's how I do it. But like I said, I'm very biased.
Well, I get that, and it's okay. I think that it's what you've presented there is a nice logical progression. But I do want to just come back very quickly to the idea of investing in something that can help you with your retention as an agent. Are you referencing the CRM at that point, or is there another tool to your way of thinking that would do the trick?
So EZLynx has actually a patented technology we call Retention Center. Basically, what it does is you set up Retention Center to flag a certain level of renewal risk. And what it will do is it will look at your book of business, and a certain number of days out from renewal, it will flag those renewals that are at a higher risk of churning. And so what that does for you as the agent is you can focus your time on those renewals where maybe there's some serious risk that you're gonna lose that business. We're also releasing the capability to not only flag that risk, but automatically go requote that risk. So you can imagine if you're an agent and you carve out a chunk of your day to worry about your renewals, you got 100 renewals coming up in a given time period. Let's say 70 of them are no problem, going to renew at a similar price point, probably very low risk, but 30% of them are high risk. This tool will not only identify those that are high risk, so you don't have to comb through the 100 and figure out what the big ones are, but also requote it. So you can look at it and go to a customer and perhaps say, look, your rate is going up. This is a hard market. Rates and premiums are going up. But I've taken the effort of requoting it, and it's still the best policy for you. Or maybe you say, look, your rate is going up, and I requoted it, and there's now a better option for you. That just goes such a long way if you're an agent to help and build credibility with your customer, and ultimately, retain business. We, at least in software, we think it's a lot easier to retain an existing customer than go try and find a new one. The same is true for agents.
And as the marketing guy, I would agree with that 100%. I have to say that that kind of a retention tool does sound very intriguing to me. And I will say that you, in my opinion, are spot on about the fact that retention is so critical in the current market. And that's not changing in 2024, in case anybody's not paying attention. So, hey, I wanted to ask you, is there something I've missed here in this discussion, or do you think there are some considerations to be made that I've overlooked?
No, maybe just, reinforce that this is a hard market. And we hear that a lot from agents, and it creates new challenges, creates new opportunity as well. And we feel like our technology can help the agents manage through that. I mentioned Retention Center as a big one. So that's one thing I just want to make sure the listeners hear is that we're aware of that, and we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can help our customers, our partners manage through that. And the second thing is, please reach out to me. So I mentioned at the beginning, hey, I'm new to insurance. I love talking with agents. I try to talk to at least one customer every single day. So please, find me on LinkedIn or email me. My email address is just michael.streit, Streit, at appliedsystems.com. I love talking to agents. There's so much value that I get from hearing the challenges that you're facing and things you think we do well, things you think we could do better, or maybe you're not a customer and just want to learn a little bit more about, what some of the various options are. I'd love to speak with you. So.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And one thing I have found in my time in the insurance industry is that insurance agents are wholly honest, if nothing else. So it's a good thing, and it's great that you are having those conversations. Michael, I wanted to thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Doug. This was a pleasure.
Great. I just want to remind everyone that our guest today has been Michael Streit from EZLynx, General Manager of EZLynx. And it's been a great conversation regarding technology solutions and the integration of technology into agency operations. To our listeners, I want to thank you for tuning in to Insurance Agents Talk Shop. I'm Doug Coombs, Chief Marketing Officer at SIAA. And to learn more about SIAA, the Agent Alliance, please visit SIAA.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast, Insurance Agents Talk Shop. Be well, everyone.